Hello everyone, welcome to Evan D Math tutorial. If this is your first time coming across my video, please make sure to like, share and subscribe. So for today we're going to be doing bearing, and bearing can be defined as the angular distance between 2 points. Angular distance between 2 points. This is the simplest definition I can give for bearing. And I believe that this simple definition covers all the main aspects of bearing. So now we have, I'm going to be taking it step by step. So to avoid confusion, I'm going to start with ways by which we input our bearing. Now there are two ways to impute bearing. We have the 3-digit method, and this 3-digit method can also be called surveyor's method bearing. Surveyor's method. And then secondly, we have the 2-digit bearing. If you don't want to call it 2-digit bearing, you can call it compass bearing. Now the 3-digit bearing, as the name implies, has 3 digits, and then the 2-digit bearing, it has 2 digits, and sometimes it can have less than 2 though. And as the name implies, compass bearing, for 2-digit bearing, it usually makes use of the compass. I believe you know compass. That's item used to find locations that most travelers make use of it. And a compass has cardinal point. We have the north here, the east here, the south, and then the west. So these points are used in 2-digit bearing. They are used to locate points in 2-digit bearing. Now, one thing that is common about these two bearing is that both of them has reference points. They both have reference points. Now, for 3-digit bearing, the reference point is usually, not even usually, the reference point is always not. So the reference point is always not. And from north, we go in a clockwise direction. So it goes in a clockwise direction. Then for 2-digit or compass bearing, the reference point is either north or south. So these are the only two reference points that you use in 2-digit bearing. You cannot use west and you cannot use east. The reference point for 2-digit bearing is north or south, and the direction depends on the angle that you want to look at. Now, let me give you an example of 3-digit bearing. You can say 300 degrees. This here is a 3-digit bearing. And if I want to locate this point, firstly, I have to draw my cardinal point, north upwards, east sideways, south downwards, and west the other sideways. So now, remember, sum of angles at a point is 360 degrees. And this here is our first quadrant. This is our second quadrant, this is our third quadrant, and this is our fourth quadrant. And each of these quadrants are 90 degrees. So these are right angles, even though my drawing doesn't do justice to that, but these are right angles normally. So, and right angles are equal to 90 degrees if you can remember from our previous class. So that means we have 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, and 90 degrees here. And since we have 300 degrees and we want to show it in the compass, and this is a 3-digit bearing, and like I said earlier, 3-digit bearing usually has the reference point at north. So it can only start at north and it moves in a clockwise direction. So it means that for me to locate this 300 degrees, I have to start here and go this way. Now from here to here is already 90 degrees. From here to here is 180 degrees. To here is 270 degrees. That means my 300 degrees should be somewhere in between this angle. I'm not with a compass here. sorry, I'm not with a protractor here to use and measure the angles, but let's just assume that our 300 degrees is right here. So this here is the point that we're locating. So it means that starting from here down to this place is my 300 degrees. Now, this right here is for our 3-digit bearing. Now, over to compass bearing or 2-digit bearing. A compass bearing is usually written as such: north 25 degrees east. Now, if I want to show this on a compass, I'm going to first of all draw. This is my north, my east, my south, and my west. Now, the first one that you have here is the starting point. So since they gave us north here, it means that this is going to be our starting point. And they said 25 degrees east, which means we are going to start from north and move towards east. So we are going to be moving 25 degrees eastwards. So now let's assume that this here is my 25 degrees. 25 degrees. So this here is north 25 degrees east. We can also have something like south 25 degrees west. If I should show this in a compass, again, my drawing, my labeling, it says south 25 degrees west. So what it means is that my starting point, my reference point should be south, and this is my south. So I'm going to start from south and move 25 degrees westward. So I'm going to be moving 25 degrees westward. So let's assume that this is my 25 degrees. So here, this is this. Now, the next thing that we're going to be doing is how to convert from 3-digit bearing to 2-digit bearing. This is also very easy. So all you have to do is to pay attention, and I'm going to guide you through the steps. So conversion from 2-digit bearing to 3-digit bearing and vice versa. So let's assume that we have 300 degrees. So this here should be my 300 degrees in 3-digit bearing. So this is my north and this is my 300 degrees. Now we are asked to convert this to 2-digit bearing. It is very simple. All you have to do is to make a complete diagram, a complete cardinal point, a complete compass showing the 4 cardinal points, the 4 main cardinal points. And this is what I have. My north, sorry, this is not straight, my south, my east, and my west. So if you look at this, this is just the same thing as this. The only difference is that this part has been erased. So if I'm to impute this back here, this is what I'm going to be having. And from what they gave us here, starting from this point all the way to this point is going to be 300 degrees. And as you already know, this is an angle this is a right angle, which is 90 degrees. This is another right angle, which is 90 degrees. This here is another right angle, which is 90 degrees. So since I'm having 3 right angles here, I'm going to be having 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 90 degrees. Now, remember, this bearing usually has a reference point at north and only moves in a clockwise direction, which means we can only move this way. And we've moved this way and we've gotten 90 here, another 90 here, making it 180, another 90, making it 270. But we still have this angle and we don't know it. Let's call it theta. So now to find this theta, already we have 390 degrees, that is 3 right angles, which sum up to 270 degrees. But the angle that we have here is 300 degrees. So all I have to do to find this theta here is to do 300 degrees minus the 270 degrees that I've already gotten. And that is going to be giving me 30 degrees if I'm not mistaken. That means my theta here is going to be 30 degrees. So if I add that 30 degrees here, I'm going to be getting 300 degrees. So this shows that this here is the same thing as this here. Now that's it. We have already made a complete image of what we have here. Now the next thing that we're going to do is to name it properly in two-digit bearing method, because the main difference between compass bearing and surveyor's method bearing is the way they are named. Now, since we've gotten that this place is 30 degrees, this is 90, 90, 90, automatically this place is going to be 60 degrees. And the reason for that is because we already have that starting from here to here is 300 degrees. And you know that starting from here back to this place is 360 degrees, because there are some of angles at a point. So if I should do 360 degrees minus the 300 degrees that I already know, I'll be getting 60 degrees here. Or to make it easier, this here is already a right angle, and the right angle is 90 degrees. So you can simply do 90 degrees minus the 30 degrees that you got for your theta here, and you're getting 60 degrees for the remaining. Now that we've known the angle here, and we already know that two-digit bearing only has its reference point either from north or from south, we now start with our naming. So this thing that we have here, let me make it clearer. So this is my north, this is my east, my south, and my west, and this is the point that we're looking for. This here is 30 degrees, this here is 60 degrees, 90, 90, 90. So to name it, you look, this is what we are trying to locate, right? And now the easiest reference point that we can pick is north, because picking south is just going to be useless. So we are going to pick north. Our reference point is north. And now we are going to move towards west because it makes more sense. So moving towards west to this point, we are getting 60 degrees. So we are going to be having north 60 degrees westward. And this now is equal to 300 degrees. And this is simply how to convert from 3-digit bearing to 2-digit bearing. Now the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to be converting from 2-digit bearing to 3-digit bearing. So let me assume that we were given a question, south 25 degrees west, and we are asked to convert this to 3-digit bearing. The first thing that we will do, as always, is to first of all draw our compass and locate our cardinal point. So I'll be having this is my north, this is my east, this is my south, and this is my west. So since they said south 25 degrees west, it means that our reference point is going to be south. So we are starting from south and we are moving 25 degrees westward. So let's assume that this is my 25 degrees towards the west. Now, well, to convert this to 3-digit bearing, and as believe you already know by now that our starting point for a 3-digit bearing is always north. So all we have to do is to draw this again, but without adding the unnecessary parts. So this is the starting point here, north, and then this is the point that we are looking for. So now this here is the angle that we are looking for. Remember, this here is our 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees, and this here is 25 degrees as given in the question. So all we have to do is just add up these places and we'll get what we're looking for. So we have 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 25 degrees. 90 plus 90 is 180. 180 plus 25 should be 205 degrees. So this is our answer. Therefore, this here is 205 degrees. So if I'm to convert south 25 degrees west to 3-digit bearing, our answer is going to be 205 degrees. I hope this was very simple and I hope that you really understand it. So to check your understanding of the topic, I'm going to be leaving you with these two questions. You can solve and comment your answers or you can just leave it. When I solve and post the correct answers, you can check and know if they are the same thing with yours. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.